Hello. Everyone wants a piece of the AI gold rush. But in healthcare, if your data isn't governed and your coding is just vibes, you're looking at a compliance catastrophe. We're discussing your roadmap to AI ready infrastructure today. Stay tuned. Hello, and welcome back to the HIPAA Insider Show, where we make enterprise grade compliance accessible to all companies, not just the big giants. I'm Adam Z, and if you find this content useful, please like and subscribe to help us keep this content coming. Today, I'm joined by Franck Leveneur, founder and CEO of DataSleek and former UCLA professor. Franck, hello, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam. Great to be here.
Great. So we did have a little bit of a behind the scenes here. I'm letting the audience know we did have a little bit of a kerfuffle where I forgot to press record. So we're going to get started again. So thank you for bearing with us, Franck. So could you give us a little bit of a background about yourself to start us off?
Sure. So I have about 25 plus year experience in databases and data architecture. Started on Microsoft SQL, moved to MySQL, then I moved to the cloud in AWS. In 2018, I started teaching a class at UCLA Anderson for a Master of Science in Business Analytics, where I was teaching data management. And then in 2020, during COVID, I started my consulting company.
Cool. Yeah, and we're just talking about how COVID was a kind of a sliding doors moment where a lot of companies closed and then a bunch of other companies started up with new vision and new ideas. So that's fantastic. So in that experience in the 25 years you've spent starting from the Microsoft SQL in enterprise data architecture, from your perspective, both as the practitioner and then also UCLA educator, what's the biggest misconception that healthcare leaders have when they say they're ready for AI?
I think the big misconception is they confuse having data and having AI-ready data. A lot of healthcare company has tons of data, IoT devices, claims, EHRs, but a lot of time, that data is siloed.
Yeah.
It's not properly labeled. It lacks data governance. So the real readiness checklist is to ask yourself, do you have a unified data catalog, right, where your data is, you can ask any question about your data and, you can have an answer. Is your metadata documented? Do you have data lineage, right, to understand the flow between the source and the destination? Could you also explain to a regulator where the data point came from? So this is, this is part of the data strategy, for example, that you can put in place. But it's important to really pay attention to your data and make sure it has, it's properly governed, managed, and and also secure.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm just thinking of those two examples there, your EHR system and then your billing system. They're as systems functioning separately, they do great things, but they have different focus. One is more towards revenue and management of revenue. The other one, the EHR, is more to do with the patient care. So the databases are naturally going to be configured in a different way and aim towards a different thing. So that brings on the idea of data mess and technical debt. So what could you talk a little bit about what those specific issues that are encountered are?
Sure. Well, usually for a pilot project, data engineer or data scientists are going to work on curated data. They're going to pick their data sets. They're going to run some queries. They're going to manipulate the data. They're going to clean the data. And then, they're going to release to production. But if they don't have really a good understanding of the overall data, the plumbing, how data works, you could have failed. So it's really important for, I would say, for the pilots, to look at the whole picture and the potential impact of releasing this pilot into production. Security also is important. Is it going to modify data? Does the pilot has all the field, right? Necessary data field that are in production that you're going to be using? Is there some shadow pipelines that could exist? Pipelines that you don't know about, that you're not able to reproduce when you use your data sets. So it's having an overview of your data. That's where, again, data lineage, data governance comes into play. Where in order to build your pilot, you need to have also a good overview, a catalog of your data sets. Also, not having any data contracts between the source and the AI layer can be a problem. It's all about making your data a product, and then creating a contract for the delivery. This is what I'm delivering, like for the AI layer or for the BI layer, and making sure everybody is on board with that can be quite challenging.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And we were talking about how the 2026 has started off as a very busy year. What are the types of trends that you're seeing when it comes to data management in 2026?
So I think active metadata management is probably one. There's a lot of products out there. I'm thinking about Elation. There's also Colibri, where they're starting to use AI to leverage the governance of the data, try to make sense of that data. How can that data be used and provide additional insight? Maybe it can recognize, for example, some marketing-related data, and then it identify that data as marketing, and then it can think, because the data catalog again has the global view of your data. They know what sales data is, they know what marketing data is, they know what operation data is. So if you add an AI system into this, then they start to understand the context of your data, right? And then they can track trends. Oh, your sales are going up, or because you're spending more in marketing, et cetera, et cetera. So I think these tools are going to become very useful, being able to provide additional insight for companies, maybe do what if scenarios, right? Because again, right, I think of it like some tentacles of having access to all the data sets, right, and understanding it. If it's properly labeled and properly managed and it's good quality, then you can really take advantage of that. The second one is data product. When you're going to use AI, when you do data governance, you need to think ahead, about product. What kind of data product are you going to build? You want to build, right? It's like a company who, let's say, when Apple, right? It's a product-based company. They build product. They also build services, but it's still also a product, something that they want to sell, right, and increase their revenue. Same thing here. What is going to be the product you want to sell? Is it going to be exposed to consumer? Is it going to be used internally by another department, right, to create value, etc.? So these are the things that move the needle, right? And when you create a product, then everybody is on board and they understand, okay, this is what the product is going to do, this is the value it's going to bring to the business, and then everybody can work towards that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And those tools that you mentioned when it comes to the metadata, are those tools that, I mean, the way I understand it, Data Sleek will work with its clients to choose the best of breed approach. Is that correct when it comes to these type of projects and potential products?
Yeah, I mean, we have some framework. When it comes, for example, for data strategy, we'll do an assessment to understand where the company is at, with their data. What's their journey? Are they starting? Are they in the middle? Are they towards the end where they want to really scale their AI infrastructure? So depending on where they are, there's different strategy approach. The goal, right?
What phase do you prefer to? Sorry to drop. What phase do you prefer to start with? Right at the beginning, or?
Yeah, kind of. Yes, because I get a pretty good understanding of their data. I can follow them along the journey, guide them, and see the company grow and become better. We have a few customer where we work in tandem with. We teach them about dimensional modeling and DBT, right? And they're starting to become autonomous. They get the picture. They see the benefits.
Is DBT database transformation?
Yeah, DBT is the data. It's DBT tools. So DBT transformation, yeah, something like this. DBT transformation. It's for transformation. Yeah, it's a great tool, and it has really caught the industry by surprise, and it's evolving. It has data lineage. You can produce documentation. You can do tests for quality control, right? So you can implement some testing, and when it runs, if the test fails, it won't refresh production, right? So protecting your production data. Think of it as like instead of being a development cycle for software, it's development cycle for data, where you have a repository where you commit your code, and the code is SQL, a little bit of Python, and then people can pull the Git repo and work on the code, create branches, right? So it's a organic way to develop your data warehouse. And
I see.
Yep.
Yeah. No, thank you for clarifying that. I love learning about these concepts on the show. So most companies, we're going to talk a little bit about HIPAA, but most companies think that HIPAA compliance is just about encryption and business associate agreements. So let's talk a little bit about how does poor data architecture create false security signals, if you like, and why is a clean data structure like a requirement to fulfill HIPAA audit controls?
I would say poor data architecture mean that your tool are not going to be able to distinguish between a legitimate access, right, versus a bridge, because the underlying identity, access, or data layers are inconsistent. So it's important to, when you build your architecture, to really think about this. How are you going to identify access to that data? 2FAs has become really a big deal, right? And even Snowflake, right, implemented this now. Only users use 2FAs now. Application cannot use the username and password anymore. You have to make sure you also tag your important data. PFI or PII information needs to be tagged so that you really, and that goes back also to data governance. You need to make sure that only people cleared with access to certain data can access the data, right? You don't make it available to everybody. So it's important to have also some control in place to track who access what, when, and why, right? So you need a login mechanism to be put in place and identify who is your login and why they're accessing this data.
Yeah, I want to talk about a trend that we talked about in the last couple of episodes quite a bit, which is the vibe coding trend. May or may not be applicable at the mid to large size enterprise level, but it's certainly applicable at the startup level, right? So developers using vibe coding, large language models to prompt their way to production. What happens to the data lineage that you talked about when code is generated using these natural language prompt vibe coding rather than human architecture, and how are you seeing that map out to the ultimate production and potential issues there?
Well, I think the danger here is that data lineage can become opaque because in a sense, it lacks architectural context. Someone who understands the data, a human, right, is going to make architectural decision. It's going to know why it should be this way. This is another. AI might not always make that proper decision. Plus, right, it's in the void. You let AI do the work. Okay, no, somebody is just going to check the code, but they're not going to say, well, why is AI doing this? Why is it choosing this architecture? This is another one. Why is he joining the data this way or transforming the data that way? So I think AI should be an accelerator when you have a really good understanding of what you want to accomplish. Then AI is here to accelerate. Yeah, but you need someone, you need a pair of eyes to look at the results, because otherwise it's everybody. And also, how do you synchronize if, let's say, you have a team of 10 are all using AI? How do you synchronize, right, the release of code in your data, the transformation? So that's why I go back to this tool called DBT, where you need to commit the code into a Git repo. So maybe if you plug AI into the Git repo and have an understanding of what's already there, if someone wants to commit some code, there's going to be some checks and balances. But it's really important to have a pair of eyes on the code, but also a architecture pair of eyes, someone who really understands what's being built.
Yeah, definitely. And we should say that this is all we're talking about under the current security and frameworks for HIPAA. But if we talk about a scenario where someone uses an LLM, let's say a startup founder uses an LLM, writes a script, and the script is to do with a code script that is to do with moving patient information from a secure database to let's say an unencrypted cache, because it felt like the way the most efficient way to do it. That's how the AI saw it. I think I know the answer to this question, but who's liable in case of an audit there?
Well, the human is going to be right. Oh, always available, because the auditor is not going to ask AI the question, right? They're gonna go to the individual. But
that's why I said current frameworks do not give AI the same agency as a human, right? So maybe in the future there'll be government certified AI agents that do have culpability attached to an LLC or something. I don't know. But for now, it's on whoever used the AI.
But you bring a good point, in terms of AI making an architectural decision, especially transferring data. If you give that access, it could get messy. But I think we're still in the learning phase. There's still a lot. I mean, AI is so young. Right? If you look at internet, how it evolved, where we started with modem, and now we have super fast access, and what you can do with a phone, I think it's just the beginning. Right? It's but the acceleration is so exponential. It's just every day there's something new. Cloudbot, and now Claude released a co-work, that can connect your desktop to application. I mean, I did a few tests where you ask for a summary of all the emails that you got for the day, and it just gives you a summary. It can create a Jira ticket automatically for you. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, we've been looking into Google's anti-gravity as well, which is like an IDE that will control the browser and look up the tasks, and you give it a set of data and it does things. It's fascinating. But yeah, like you said, early days. Okay, so for companies without, let's say, mega corporation budgets, what is a minimal viable data strategy that they should implement before deploying their first AI-based tools?
I would say 3 things. Inventory, right? What data do you have? Quality, right? How good is your data? And then ownership. Who is going to be responsible? Because that's going to be the essence of your data, right? If you have a good inventory, that's what we do also. We do data gap analysis. Do you have all your data? Is all your data accessible, or is it stored somewhere on a server? Is it on paper? Is it in a mainframe? And people sometimes they don't think about all data, the powerful insight it can have, right? Historical data. And again, we go back to quality. And that's the challenge. I would say the biggest challenge is merging all the data together from so many different systems that use so many different ways of labeling data, and sometimes there's an ID, but sometimes there's not, and then you have to link that data together so that makes sense. I would say that's the biggest challenge. I think AI can help there, but still, you need a review at that level, and then the responsibility. Who is going to oversee all that, right? Who is going to make the decision about how to store the data, how to label it, and how it's going to be used, right? Which data product do you start with? Right? Which one is going to bring the biggest value to the company? When you do a data strategy, it's a good exercise because it allows stakeholders to reflect on their business. Right, the goal is to align your business strategy with your data strategy, and so that your data strategy powers your business. So it's a good exercise for the stakeholder to reflect, to look at what they have and also what they can do. Right? What product can we build? I know there's a rush into AI. There's this FOMO with AI for corporation, where I've got to have AI, but the thing is, maybe you're not ready. And maybe you don't need AI. Maybe you just need a predictive analytics, and that's it, right? So it's an exciting moment. We feel like we are little kids with new toys, and right, and we're playing with them. But you need to think down the road, right? What's your ultimate goal at the business level?
Yeah, maybe the toy car isn't ready for the road yet. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Franck. And so where can people where can people reach out if they need assistance with the data strategy and other items?
They can come to our website, Data Sleek, so data-sleek, sleek.com. And then they can submit a consultation, provide free consultation, and go over their challenges, what they're trying to accomplish with their data, and then we help.
Awesome, fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Franck, for being on the HIPAA Insider Show this week.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure.
And thank you very much for watching and listening. Find Franck, as he said, at data-sleek.com, link in the description, for enterprise data consulting services. And for secure cloud hosting that keeps that data under lock and key, visit HIPAAvault.com. Thanks for listening to the HIPAA Insider Show. See you next week.